with the environment. Now, how are we going to do this? Well, we see the I call here innovative service companies. We're going to have to try to look at project management and technology as the two things that should give us the ticket to get on that rocket and go to the future. And the modern oil and gas companies will have to say, okay, what's my core business? What am I here for? And what I see is G&G, reservoir, finding and developing the resources the best they can. And we can see them doing that. So when you take it, now we're going back to the, very mundane, everyday jobs, but that's what keeps us all here, talking and buying and selling. But essentially, what we're seeing is that we need a better integrated approach using project management tools that essentially will require a redefinition of the way we do business. And, we have a phrase in Argentina I love to use. I don't know if it translates very well, but it's barajar y dar de nuevo, which means you shuffle a deal again. We see that we are doing a lot of things the way that, somebody taught us 40 years ago, and there's a lot of change going on, and we have to find a new way of doing business. So anyway, project management, again, is one of the bases upon which we're going to go forward. I'm going to name here very rapidly some of the technology innovations onshore that the industry is using, and what are the efficiencies that we see that have gained. Underbalance drilling, reduce damage and increase flow rates. Coiled tubing drilling, access to stranded reserves, complex size, that's being able to access them, and improve safety. A lot less people, a lot less work under the rotating equipment. Directional drilling, reduce time and cost, reduce environmental impact, access to stranded reserves, and also being able to go to different reservoirs. Rigless completion, the same thing, multi-frac, improve service, reduce damage, and waste recovery systems is reduce time and cost and environmental impact. So this is just some of them, and there is a lot more, but this is as an example of the type of technical answers we have to find to go to the three things we want, which is low energy, good return for both companies, and less damage to the environment. Well, now we're going to two specific cases in which I have seen, through working on these cases, that if you put a group of people together, you can get excellent results. We have here the oil and gas company that started this project. The Medanito field is a pressed compound energy, and it's in the Neuquén Basin. They were faced with a reality. 1999, very low prices, really no money to develop wells, and they owned a company called San Antonio, and the company that Pride bought in April of last year. And they said, well, before we send everybody home and trash the infrastructure, let's see if we can put them to work. And we'll work at cost, and we'll see what we can do. And so the objective was, let's recover marginal resource, but they didn't just go to, let's do it cheaply. They said, let's put together a team of people that are formed by the service company and the operating company, that they have different responsibilities, but they all go together in a technical committee and programming teams that tell people what to do. And then day-to-day execution, you have geology and reservoir, that means reserves and how to take care of reserves on the side of the company. And then all that entails the actual work, drilling, completion, on the other side. Now, this project started with 5 wells, okay? And they said, okay, let's do 5 wells, see what happens. And so the team got together, and what I have here is just very simple things that high cost and slow. Not because we were bad, that's more or less what you have. You got to kill the well, do the work over, do the thing. On the second one, we started doing with cold tubing. Now that cut in half the time on this field. We still had problems with the formation, but it was a lower cost because the cold tubing was only 3 days, and we still needed pulling equipment. So we went one step further, and we said, okay, let's bring in a snapping unit and try to do the work without killing the well. So what we had was that we minimized formation damage, lower cost, and you can operate under pressure, and the average time was 2 days. So what you see here is that technology not only makes it look prettier because you have a new piece of equipment there, but actually helps on the bottom line. I always say, if you bring technology and it costs you more money, nobody will buy it. It's that simple. So, that's what we did. Now, what does that mean? Well, this is 100% of the original budget in construction. But initially, remember, we were going to do 5 wells. As it turned out, even in 1999, we did 15 wells. Then we went 65 wells in 2000, and we have a projection for 90 wells in 2001. Overall, due to process re-engineering, which is project management and technological innovation, we were able to drop 40% the overall cost from the original well. Now, what are the conclusions? There are significant cost and time reductions when you put a group of people to do things. And the second one is the contractor or the service company is able to bring in new technology to help out. What I don't have here is the increase in reserves and decrease in productivity that goes hand in hand with the producer. And I can guarantee you that just a 40% drop in cost would not have put increases of 15 to 90 wells per year drilled. So there are a lot of additional benefits to both the production company and the service company. The other one is a very recent project, Drill 600 we call it. Repsol YPF is the company, 600 wells in the San Jorge Gulf Basin. The objective again is to mobilize marginal reserves. These are wells that if you don't come up with a different way of doing it, they will not drill it. So it takes a lot of work between both sides, the operating company and the production company, and the service company. Again, the approach, project management, technological innovation. Again, well construction and reservoir management. Right here, we did something different. I mean, actually, the service company is involved in and has the responsibility of selecting where we're going to perforate, where we're going to frack, where we're going to produce, how we're going to measure. And so there is a lot of responsibility placed on the service company, but it's not done at an arm's length. It's done in a true team spirit way. I go to these team meetings, I never know who works for me and who works for somebody else. And that's the way that I think we have to go in the future. This is a very new project, so it's hard to say. To date, we've done about 30 wells, but so far, we're able to reduce the time as forecasted. The costs are standard and controlled because that's what we say we're going to charge no matter what the real cost was. And it's higher than expected initial production. Now, we don't know if they're going to decline. We don't know how the project is going to go. But we have great expectations. And again, it's because we are working in a very different way. So the conclusions for this talk is there are key factors that improve efficiency. We need project management, technological innovation, and essentially try to reshuffle the way we do business and think about doing something that utilizes the best of both companies. I want to leave you with one last thought. And what I am saying is that these two projects were based on only well construction, but from the examples that we saw today, the Faja del Orinoco in Venezuela is based on a true joint effort between two companies with a lot of the contracting companies. And when you look at Petrobras, they also mentioned that you have 5 or 6 companies that are working hand in hand to develop tools that they don't have and that nobody else has. And you have universities, you have companies, and so, you know, it's not that we are inventing the idea here, it's going on as we speak, but we see this as the way to go into the future, get into that rocket. So we see that the modern oil companies will put their objectives, their strength, and their knowledge into finding new reserves and developing them. And then there's going to be a whole slew of field development, which will include not only drilling completion services, but surface operation, production, and workover, which will be part of those companies that want to go into the future. So that's the end of the talk. If you have any questions, please ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcelo, for this interesting presentation. So, any question?
Marcelo, we are seeing a consolidation of the oil industry. I mean, BP, Amoco, and all that. But we're also seeing it in the service company. But not only that they are growing, but they also, if you take the example of Halliburton or Schlumberger, they now go all the way from geophysics, I mean, seismic, to drilling, you know, equipment and so on and so forth. Why is avoiding that the service company will become oil companies if the knowledge resides in the service company? Could you comment on that, please?
Yeah, you know, that's an excellent question. Is what is enough? You know, when is enough? Okay? Let me give you an example. Western decided to become an oil company, and they got leases and they started producing oil. Is Western around today? No. So, to me, it's very clear that you have to be very careful about who you are and who you want to be, okay? And I know that the big corporations are getting together a slew of services to get ready to help the big oil companies to go forward. But I doubt very much, if you ask Schlumberger or Halliburton, that they want to buy a piece of land and start producing themselves for their own. You know, I doubt it very much. I think that division is going to continue to be there. Any other questions?
Well, monitoring those reservoirs that you were presented is a long-term process. How do you manage, you know, in your team, you know, the long-term monitoring of those reservoirs? What is the let's say, the process that you are putting there? Okay,
very good question too. How do you monitor that the project that you're doing is actually giving you the results you expect? Actually, that's the good thing that we see about having a good relationship with your partner, is that we actually don't monitor it. The oil company monitors it. And then they decide whether or not this project is successful or not based on the numbers they have. And, you know, if tomorrow they say, look, guys, it was an excellent initial production, but you know what, they declined 3 times as fast, well, we get out of the job. But you know, if you start supervising the supervisor that supervises you, then you put more people and you do work that doesn't mean anything. And that's what I mean about getting to a point where you only have the people you need doing the job they do, and you trust them to do it well.
Any other questions? There.
How is safety and environmental considerations factored into these cost reducing?
Okay, the question is how safety and environment have into this. I think that they are central to these projects. I think that if you try to do anything today without having the utmost care for safety and environment, it's a short-lived project. you know, one of the things that the industry is pushing for is the ISO 9001, 14,001, and the last one is the 18,001. And I know several service companies who have already gotten it or are in the middle of trying to get it. And I think that is central. I think that a commitment to safety and improvement of the environment is what drives also this change. And to me, a lot of the technological innovations that you see and you will see in the future will come about so that we take care of the problems and don't repeat them again. So in the case that we are concerned, we have specific, we review our safety manual, we review the companies who we work for safety manual, and we develop a specific safety target for the project we're going to do. Because each field is different and each place has its own characteristics. So you can't go with something that works for everything. But you know, the equipment we bring, we hope will decrease the chance of somebody getting hurt. And that's the basis for that, at a lower cost.
Well, if there are no more questions, we can finish these presentations. Muchas gracias, Marcelo.
Gracias.
Sí, no se sacan conclusiones. Pues. Sí, así.